Gonzalez, who lost his title recently, his last time out against Oscar De La Hoya. We'll take a look at the tail of the tape, and then Bruce will do the rules for you. Here on the tail of the tape, I can tell you a couple of things, and we'll be able to tell you that Gonzalez is 3 inches taller. He's a pound heavier. He's 5 years younger than his Granciosa, and he has a 2-inch shorter reach. And taking a look at the rules that we'll have up there for you, this will be the Nevada State Athletic Commission rules.
10-point must-scoring system. There is no standing 8. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The fighter can't be saved by the belt except to the final round, and only the referee can stop the fight with the judgment of the ringside position.
All right, and I see Miguel Angel Gonzalez has made his way in. He thinks that this guy can be tough because he switches from right to left-handed, and he said, you know, I'd like to get some rounds in this fight. When I asked him about southpaws yesterday, he said they're always difficult, but I fought 6 southpaws, and I haven't had a lot of trouble with them. I don't think it's any secret that he's pointing against a showdown with Julio Cesar Chavez, who we may get to see history in the making should he win his 100th fight tonight. But he says the Chavez fight and the opportunity to fight Chavez is my motivation. And as you look at Granciosa, he's a boxer puncher. He has a guy that's got a lot of lateral movement. He's a natural southpaw who also switches. He can take a pretty good shot. He's never been down in his career. That would be indicative of that. He must counterpunch against this guy. He knows that Gonzalez starts slow, so if he's smart, Bruce, he should have a fast start game plan. He hails from Honolulu in Hawaii is where he's fighting out of right now, but he actually is a Visayan language speaker from the Philippines, from actually Samar in the Philippines.
This is a young man who 18 of his fights have gone 10 or more rounds. He's lost 14 decisions, so he's a guy who's there when it gets to the 9th, 10th rounds and is still, you know, in your face. He lost to Darryl Hiles for the IBO junior welterweight title in September of '95, and he lost it down in Australia. So he's been all around the globe. He's a guy who we call an opponent, you know, someone who's always there when you need someone to step in, and we'll see if he's formidable for Gonzalez, who I expect to try to sharpen up for that match ahead with Julio Cesar Chavez as they try to decide who is the best Mexican fighter on the planet.
Well, I see Jimmy Lennon has moved into position. We'll be going to him momentarily. But in line with what Bruce Beck was saying on Granciosa, well, we don't know a lot of his opponents. It's like these kids that have a whole list of kids that fight in Mexico or Puerto Rico, or kids that fight out of Philadelphia. When you see a lot of Filipino youngsters that are on your defeated record, and you see as many as there are on Granciosa, some 31, even though we don't know an awful lot about them, you know that they're tough fighters. And we also know one thing: the people watching in the Philippines tonight are going to be thrilled. And Bruce, on the international telecast, it's so exciting because in the Philippines, this could be the main event, believe it or not.
You're right, and I think Granciosa's 2 losses that stand out to me are Jesus Saloon and Steve McCrory. So there's some names on that ledger that he has taken on that are quality opponents.
Well, when they have a couple of quality opponents, it means that he won't be as perhaps rattled fighting a guy as good as Miguel Angel Gonzalez. But, you know, leading up to the De La Hoya fight, people were talking about just how good Gonzalez is. I never thought he was quite heavy enough of a puncher against De La Hoya, but De La Hoya now moving up in the division, so this is his proper weight. He's going to come in tonight at about 145 pounds, and you know that the super lightweight division is 140, so he's a little bit heavy, but he doesn't want to be too fine, getting a guy like Granciosa, who he doesn't know a heck of a lot about. He also realizes he needs this win, because if anything happened out there that turned this into a war and he get cut or something like that, it would push back the game plan for a shot at Julio Cesar Chavez. And in Mexico, to have Angel Gonzalez and Julio Cesar go at each other would be a big thrill.
Well, you think about the great Mexican fighters: Ricardo Lopez, Marco Antonio Barrera, Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez, Luis Ramon Yuri Boy Campos, and of course Miguel Angel Gonzalez and Julio Cesar Chavez. So they both believe they're the best in their country, and down the road we will find out as they go toe to toe.
And again, we promise you folks that are watching around the world, we appreciate your patience at the top of the show. But again, in a telecast that's this big, involving this many countries, involving this many broadcasters and broadcast positions, you must bear with us. If you're watching in the Bar Network around, you enjoy yourself a few pops while these fights are getting underway. And if you're watching at home, put the dog out, send your wife to the other room, lock up the kids, and put your feet up, because this is going to be some big night of boxing. And I'm just as excited as you have got to be, because you know coming up is what we're all here for, and that's Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. But right now, we see Jimmy Lennon is just about set as the American networks are getting ready to actually cue him and his Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you. We welcome you to the City of Entertainment, the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, as we have a big night of action coming away, brought to you by Don King Productions and King Vision in association with Showtime Event Television, the MGM Grand, and Gold Premium Beer. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, before we present this bout, we ask your attention for a solemn and serious moment as Don King Productions dedicates tonight's event to the memory of Dr. Betty Shabazz, along with the many, many innocent victims of crime and violence. We honor their memories with the traditional boxing tribute. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please rise as our timekeeper tolls 10 for the memorial 10 count. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May God rest their souls and make this world a better place to live in. Well, fans, at this time, we present a special attraction coming away, 10 rounds of boxing scheduled, super lightweights in the ring. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Dr. Elias Ghana. Introducing to you our judges scoring this bout from ringside: Bill Graham, Dolby Shirley, and Paul Smith. And now here's our referee in charge of this bout. He'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Jay Nady. All right, fans, here we go. Introducing to you first on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing gold trunks with black trim. He's originally from Samar in the Philippines, now fighting out of Honolulu, Hawaii. He weighed in at 144 pounds. His record stands at 31 wins, 17 losses, 3 draws, and 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Welcome a fighter they call the Hawaiian Gladiator, introducing Roberto Granciosa. And his opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the red corner in this 10-round attraction, wearing black trunks with gold trim, hailing from Mexico City, Distrito Federal, Mexico. He weighed in at an even 145 pounds. His outstanding record includes 42 wins, 1 loss, 32 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former WBC lightweight champion of the world, currently ranked the number 2 contender by the WBC and the WBA, introducing Miguel Gonzalez. Once again, a referee in charge, Jay Nady, now to give instructions.
Miguel. And 10 rounds. Remember, the low will be below the belly button to the hip bone. Below that's a foul. Behind the ears is a foul. Do you have any questions? 10 rounds. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands. Let's go to work. It's the best I could do.
All right, Bob Sheridan with Bruce Beck, the principals, Miguel Angel Gonzalez. You see him in his black trunks, and Roberto Granciosa in the gold trunks. We're set to go. This should be a good one. We'll see just exactly how Granciosa tries to feel out Angel Gonzalez in the early going here.
Camera's tied up. Let's go to work, guys. Wait a minute. Are you ready? Okay, ring the bell. Bang!
Is the bell for round number 1. This again is scheduled for 10 rounds, not a championship fight here. First thing you notice right away is that Granciosa is a southpaw that's leading with the right foot and the right hand. And that'll mean that you'll see Gonzalez throw more right hands right down the middle. That's usually what the orthodox fighter can be successful with against a southpaw fighter. To the left of your screen in the gold trunks is the challenger of sorts, you would say, because he, make no mistakes about it, has not had the class fights that in world-class competition that Miguel Angel Gonzalez has had. This is clearly the class of the fight in the black trunks here, with his back to you now to the right of your screen, and Gonzalez. Granciosa not having any problems here in the early going, and again, it's a feeling out sort of first round. Both guys bang questionably low there.
And remember, these are uncharted waters for Miguel Angel Gonzalez. He has never been in the ring after losing a fight. He comes off that loss to De La Hoya in January. So, you know, you got to get your confidence back and get your composure. And I think this round and maybe the early part of the second round will be a little bit of a feeling out process, getting his confidence back.
And of course, Granciosa, on the other hand, would love to establish the fact that he can hang in there with a guy with the kind of experience that Gonzalez has. Granciosa, you know, is 31-17 with 3 draws and 16 KOs. He's got as many fights or more than Gonzalez has at 41-1. So for him, he's an experienced fighter, but it's just the class of opponents, and he's hanging in there pretty good here in the early going. But you see immediately Gonzalez begins to show a little bit of his class as he gets through with punches, as Granciosa kind of relies on tapping with the jab, and that's not the way to score points.
Gonzalez is concentrating a little bit on the body thus far. A couple of those shots very close to south of the border, but he's looking to make his mark by going to the midsection. Now he finally goes upstairs.
Well, he's a guy that studied Julio Cesar Chavez when Chavez was really in his peak, and realized, and that definitely, Bruce, you pointed out a couple of borderline. That one was nowhere near the northern border. That was definitely south of the border. But referee Jay Nady, very experienced. He happened to be walking behind Granciosa when he got tagged that time, but he won't let it go on. It's an accidental foul, but nonetheless it's still a foul, and when the referee catches up with it, it could be a problem. But we've seen in the heavyweight division where the low blows really get out of hand.
Bob, I don't like the fact that Gonzalez isn't really sweating yet. That means he did not warm up properly, and it's going to take him a little while. He's traditionally a slow starter.
That's a good point, because he always has been a slow starter. And when you look at their ring records, you can see he's got very few early round knockouts. So we'll just see how it goes here coming up to the closing bell here in round number 1. We'll be back with more action momentarily. Bob Sheridan with Bruce Beck back here at ringside at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got a super lightweight battle going on. It's round number 2. Miguel Angel Gonzalez, former world champion, against a fellow who's fighting out of Honolulu, Hawaii, by the name of Roberto Granciosa. Granciosa in the gold trunks, and right now you see Gonzalez turning it up just a notch, and what he's doing is demonstrating to himself that he can test the left hand, go to the right hand downstairs, slip the punch that's thrown by the Philippine fighter who's fighting out of Honolulu, Hawaii, goes to the body a little bit low, but he's all right there because it was taken on the elbows. He is really gunning for the solar plexus, is Gonzalez, and when he catches up with Granciosa, he's going to be very successful. But that's what he's doing now. When you see a fighter use so many different sorts of punches and then work down, and he's very clever because every time Nady is behind Granciosa, Nady, the third man in the ring, is when he throws it. That's not luck. That's by design. A real well-trained camp of fighters as they right hand get through, power hand get through that time.
And that was one of his best combinations of the fight. He went to the body, then he went upstairs. There's no question if you can soften up that midsection, the accumulation of blows will last with you till the wee hours of the morning. So that's something he's trying to establish here early.
And he's getting the hands coming down too, kid, because you see Bruce, he's coming upstairs more and more. As he works downstairs, he'll go one shot with the other hand, and then come right back upstairs, and those hands are down because the punishing body shots make the elbows come in. They almost wince a little bit.
You already see some swelling and some puffiness under the left eye of Granciosa.
The shots are beginning to land, and there's no question that he has the power. Now remember, there's a couple of inches in height advantage for Gonzalez and a couple of inches in reach. The little guy is either got to try to push this guy back and get him up against the ropes or mix inside. If he stands where he's standing right now, Bruce, he's going to have a lot of trouble because he's right in the punching power area of Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is starting to heat up, and as all Mexican fighters like to use that left hook, he finally landed one. Didn't really score in that first round, but now he's starting to get through it. A good straight right hand.
That's the best punch, as you well know, and the people watching know that if you want to get to a southpaw and you can deliver that straight right hand with a little feint off to your left first, or even a jab, and then go with that straight right hand down the middle, that's the way to beat a southpaw. And he's successful. There's another shot that didn't land anyplace low, but it was ticketed low.
Granciosa is not backing down. I mean, he's coming to the center of the ring, but he's not throwing punches. He's got to lead with that jab, or else he's not doing any good by just standing there.
And then there's Jay Nady warning Granciosa to keep the shots up and watch the heads coming together.
He's target practice if he doesn't throw the jab and he comes to the middle of the ring.
Well, there was a good, crisp, hard right hand that time, scored by the former champ Gonzalez, and many more shots like that, and you begin to see the legs start to buckle of Granciosa, and that'll be the first sign that he's really starting to wilt. As the bell ends, round number 2. Now, Mike Tyson came in between rounds, and our crack team of Frankie Belmont and Marty Corwin were right on the spot. And a good cameraman got Mike Tyson making his way. Look at Mike. Doesn't have that menacing look on his face. He seemed almost at peace with himself coming in, Bruce.
Yeah, but he's not looking at anybody's eyes. He's just looking right through you. That is the Tyson you want to see entering the ring tonight. Someone who is totally focused on the task at hand, and when he's at his best, he does not see anybody directly. He sees right through you.
You know, we've heard so much about Holyfield's inner peace this week, and when Mike Tyson was asked at the press conference the other day about his inner peace, he says, I'm all right, I'm okay. But I'll tell you one thing, folks, you can't see it because he has a shirt on. This guy is in tremendous shape. You'll see it before the opening bell. That's all coming up. And in between, you're going to see the women grudge match, Christy Martin, Andrea DeJong, and also Julio Cesar Chavez trying to capture win number 100 a little bit later on. Right now, we go to round number 3 in a scheduled 10-round affair between the former world champion, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, against the tough and game fellow by the name of Roberto Granciosa, out of the Philippines, fighting out of Honolulu, Hawaii, and he's got his hands full with Gonzalez.
And typically fighters from the Philippines are not known for their defensive posture, and we're seeing that thus far. Granciosa not doing a good job keeping those gloves up, and thus far Gonzalez getting through it, starting to sweat a little bit and starting to heat up.
And a couple of rounds ago you made a real good point, Bruce, and that was about he came in and then had to stand around a little bit as we were waiting for the start of the fight, and that didn't help him any either. He hadn't built up a sweat at all, and that's positively.
Well, that one was shot to the border. A bad low blow thrown there by Miguel Angel Gonzalez, and Jay Nady now talking to the former champion.
And now time is back in. This is round 3. Again, it's scheduled for 10 rounds. This is not a world title fight, but it will lead to one for the winners of the fight now between Gonzalez and Granciosa and Julio Cesar Chavez and a fellow by the name of Larry Daniel Lacourciere that you'll see in action a little bit later on. Then you'll have the winners of these 2 fights fighting each other. So there's ramifications to this fight in the world scene in the 140-pound division.
Keep in mind that was a warning from Jay Nady. No point was taken away, but if he continually goes south of the border and goes below that belt buckle, he will lose a point.
And he should really, because he's got away with a couple. But also, he's come up a little bit by about 3 or 4 inches the last couple of body punches, and he's really punished the body of Granciosa.
Keep in mind that Gonzalez is a guy who had 135 pounds of excellent punching power. He's got 31 KOs in 42 fights, but then he could not hold the weight. He vacated his title. He moved up. He has not been the same up around 145 where he is tonight. He just doesn't have the same power.
We're in round number 3. Gonzalez, the former champ in black, giving kind of a boxing lesson to Roberto Granciosa. And you begin to see, well, this is a pretty good right hand that just slapped kind of the side of the cheek of Gonzalez. No damage done, nothing taken out of the knees at all. The real crisp shots are being landed by Gonzalez.
Good right hand there by Gonzalez, and he's getting through now pretty much at will.
You see Bruce, he goes downstairs and bangs underneath the right elbow of Granciosa, then right back upstairs with a head shot and then down to the body. That's a real nice shot there. That's a delayed knockdown. The count's up to 2 and 3. He should be able to get up. It's up to 4 and 5 and 6. His legs aren't totally there. When you see the camera loosen up just a little bit, you'll see that his legs aren't totally there. And I would be surprised if Gonzalez can finish him off here. A big right hand, left hand straight through. It's the closing seconds of the 3rd round. Oh, big right hand shot there. He's leaning back on the ropes, and the ropes really kind of saving him right here. And Jay Nady lets the round finish. And a real punishing round for Miguel Angel Gonzalez, who really took command in round 3.
You know, Bob, I talked about the lack of punching power at a higher weight. Still tonight he's up against a different type of opponent, not the same quality of opposition, and you can see he's got the power with the left.
I don't know whether they can revive this kid, because that was one of those delayed shots when the brain has that concussion up against the side of the head, and you'll see it here now as the fella's got that nice left hook, and there's the right hand that really caught him. And now watch.
He goes down from that right hand. It was delayed, as you mentioned, but the right hand was the one that got through.
And they're going to stop the fight. We'll see that Jay Nady has said that they are stopping the fight. So we'll go into the ring momentarily here, because this is now the ending blows of the fight. They have to stop the fight. Granciosa's people say that those shots were just too vicious. He's not going to be able to recover from them. And it'll be scored at the end of the 3rd round, or before the bell sounds in the 4th. They'll score it probably as a 3rd round TKO. We'll wait for the official scoring on it. And a nice finish for Miguel Angel Gonzalez. At no time did Granciosa really pronounce any problems for him at all.
I thought he really needed that 1st round just to get, his confidence back, to maybe get some sweat going after waiting a little while. He was very dry. 2nd round started to find the range, mostly to the midsection, and late in the 2nd round started going upstairs, a couple of good combinations, and then here in the 3rd, he was just too much, and Granciosa was on clear street at the end, so I think a fair stoppage at the end of the round, because if they come out for the 4th, Bob, it doesn't last more than a couple seconds before Gonzalez really takes him out.
And I'm glad to see that the corner over there, and I want to pay tribute to Leon and the trainer Roberto Abang and Alberto Villar for actually asking the referee to stop that fight, because there's no sense to let your guy come out. He wasn't going to win this fight. It was a great opportunity for him to fight a world-class fighter and test to just see at age 31 if he in fact is ever going to be able to be a serious challenge for a world title, or will he continue fighting in the local areas in the Pacific Rim and trying to win some of those championships and make some money for himself in that part of the world. But a difficult fight for him. But Gonzalez now, what does this do for him? It certainly makes for a nice evening of him to sit back and watch Julio Cesar Chavez, who we really didn't want to talk about too much when we talked to him yesterday, Bruce, but that was the purpose of and the motivation for Miguel Angelito Gonzalez.
Excellent bounce back.
Here's Jimmy now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this count has been stopped at the end of round number 3. Our referee in charge, Jay Nady, calls a halt to the contest. He's the winner by way of technical knockout, Miguel Angel Gonzalez.
Well, Bob, going back to your question, the WBC super lightweight belt is vacant, and that's where Gonzalez and Chavez plan to meet if things go according to script tonight. The WBA champion is Khalid Rahilu, and the IBF champion is Vincent Phillips. But Gonzalez, a good performance, good bounce back after the loss to Oscar De La Hoya. Remember in that fight in January, you know, he got the mouse over De La Hoya's eye, so he did a good job there. And tonight he does a fine job in taking out Granciosa.
Well, I see Dr. Pacheco moving his way into the ring, Bruce, and we'll eavesdrop. That's another great feature we have here in King Vision. We can drop in on the Showtime interviewers and hear what they have to say, so we don't, all our broadcasters, some 50, 60 broadcasters here waiting to talk to one fighter. So as soon as Dr. Pacheco is ready, we'll drop right in there and we'll begin hearing that.
Good to be on your wings tonight, Bob.
Great to have you. Dr. Pacheco not quite ready yet, and as soon as he is, we'll go in there. I see him talking to him, but he's getting the information, but not for television.
Y de alguna manera creo que me ayudó bastante para percatarme de no volver a hacer el mismo error o que me volvieran a quitar otro punto.
Yes, and the question was, do you think it's right that they took a point away? And he said, yes, it was right. In a way it wasn't because his trunks were so high. However, he also said that he was glad that they took it away because it stepped up his attack on the head and finished him. ¿Y Chávez qué? ¿Piensas el próximo?
Sí, definitivamente creo que lo tengo en mente. Desgraciadamente no nos ha dicho una fecha ni el lugar oficial el señor Don King. Creo que no nos quiso distraer para este compromiso, que él quería que saliéramos bien nuestro compromiso. Posteriormente yo creo que vamos a tener una junta con él y mi promotor Don King va a decidir finalmente dónde y cuándo va a ser la pelea.
All right, definitely, John, it's up to Don King where and when. He said he doesn't think they told him before because he didn't want to get his mind off this fight. To do this fight and to do it well was Don King's purpose, and now it's up to Don King to see where he goes. Y la pelea, ¿lo ves difícil o crees que ya puedes tomar bien?
Sí, definitivamente creo que es una pelea difícil, no debo de confiarme. Todos ellos que después de este compromiso me voy a meter muy pronto al gimnasio, pensando en que en cualquier momento puedo hacer la pelea, y creo que definitivamente es un peleador difícil, Julio Cesar Chavez, ya que tiene mucha experiencia, ¿verdad? Quizás me triplique en cuanto a peleas, pero creo que de alguna manera se balanza se nivela la balanza, con juventud, experiencia, y yo con muchas ganas, con juventud y con muchas ganas de ganar el campeonato.
He says you can't ever underestimate Julio Cesar Chavez. Still a great fighter, still a great guy. He thinks youth will take it, and he's looking forward to the fight because he thinks he can beat Julio Cesar Chavez. And now we return to Steve.
All right, Bob Sheridan back here with Bruce Beck, and we understand that Christy Martin is in her training room and getting ready, and you see her warming up with her husband Jim. Christy's first time back, her first fight this year, and that could prove to be something because the other young lady's fought 3 times, Andrea DeJong. Christy's had a bit of a layup, but she told me that she thinks the layup do a good for us.
I like Christy under any circumstance, you know, best pound for pound female on the planet, the coal miner's daughter. Look at her. She trains with such ferocity, you know. She never takes anybody light, and she trains also and spars with men, and she says that really is good for her.
So coming up, we've got some great fights for you. The highlights of the junior lightweight attraction, Roberto Garcia against Angel Aldemar. We're going to show.
You always have to remember about guys this size. You know, I like it because when you're dealing with junior lightweights, guys, you know, around 130 pounds, the beauty is there's usually lots of action.
Well, let's see how they finish out here. Garcia, you see him moving around in the white trunks, and he's a strong puncher, as you can see, Bruce, and I think that he's going to catch up with this guy pretty soon because he's getting clean shots in here in the 5th round.
Garcia, pretty good junior lightweight, 27-0. He's got 21 KOs, good punching power. He hails from California, from Oxnard, California. Meanwhile, his opponent here, Aldemar, they call him Pony. He's out of Mexico. Another guy who's had a lot of fights, 43 to be exact. He's got a couple of KOs, about 12. But this is a young man, Garcia, who a lot of people have high hopes for. At 130 pounds, he weighed in at 131 and a half.
And look at that. Referee Joe Cortez says, hey, I'm not going to let you take any more punishment. And we'll watch the end of it and see exactly why he did stop that. You were right. There was no sense against the Pony Boy taking any more shots from Garcia. He only was a half a pound heavier coming in at 131 and a half, but it looked like he was about 15 pounds heavy with the punches behind him.
He's an action fighter. He gives you a lot of different stuff, both with hooks and straight right hands. Here's a good look at Garcia in the white trunks. There's the lead right. Sets it up with a good, crisp uppercut. And Joe Cortez, one of the best in the business, steps in and says, no mas.
Now, we show you the end here, and we show you another replay of the end of the fight. But the fact of the matter is, this was the 5th round, and throughout the course of this fight, he was taking headshots like this. And Cortez, who's a very good referee, had just seen enough. This kid, Aldemar, was not on anybody's scorecards ahead in any round. So he made the right decision, and a very good decision. One thing about Las Vegas, and I think they proved it the other night, I'm sure that people that are interested in boxing, and because we have so many people that are watching because of the magnitude of the heavyweight championship fight tonight, Bruce, don't know about how good the officiating really is here in the state of Nevada. They had a big controversy that John Horn and Rory Holloway, who co-managed Mike Tyson, they didn't like Mitch Halpern, who refereed the very first fight between Holyfield and of course, Mike Tyson last November, and they put up a big stink starting Wednesday night and Thursday. The commission stuck behind them, and they said they're not going to allow boxers to dictate to the Nevada State Athletic Commission as to who is going to be referees in their fights. They did the proper thing and stuck behind Mitch. Then Mitch decided he didn't want to be the focal point of this tremendous heavyweight title fight, and it really is. And I may sound a little bit like I'm hyping the fight. This fight doesn't need any hype. This is a fight that has to take place. There's reason for both fighters to be able to win this fight, and that's why it truly is so exciting. And you've got some of the release that when they decided to switch to Mills Lane.
Well, exactly what happened, as you mentioned, Bob. Referee Mitch Halpern decided not to be the focus of Holyfield.
Hey, look at who's
Tyson
sneaking in here.
Hey, Sly, come on in.
An old buddy of yours.
And Mitch decided to step aside. He went to the gym to work out and thought about it. Didn't want to be the focal point. He thought long and hard about it, and he called Mark Ratner, and Ratner said, okay, I understand what your decision is. He got Mills Lane on a flight from Reno rather quickly, and he flew in here, and Mills certainly one of the best in the world as the third man in the ring. So Mills Lane will be the referee tonight for Holyfield Tyson 2. I'm disappointed that Mitch Halpern decided to back down because the commission 4-1 voted in his favor. The appeal did not go through. However, I do feel it's good in the respect that nobody now has an excuse. Tyson Camp has to go out there and just fight their fight, and it leaves no stones unturned later. So I don't expect any protests, and we're going to have the principles as the focus, Bob.
Bob Sheridan and Bruce Beck back here at the MGM Grand, and coming into the ring for this big female pound-for-pound championship, Christy Martin, Andrea Deschamps. Andrea has already made her way into the ring. Bruce talked about the way she attacked Christy up at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We've got the tail of the tape for you, and there's a couple of interesting